Do you guys ever feel like starting a comic book takes more energy than actually drawing one? Like you sit down, open Procreate or Photoshop, and suddenly you're stuck, scrolling through 100 brushes, wondering which one might not ruin your art. That ADHD paralysis used to hit me hard too. That is until I downloaded one single bundle that completely saved my art life. This bundle has been used by thousands of illustrators, and it's become my secret sauce that completely changed the way I do comic art. It's called the Comic Junkies Toolkit, and it's available for Photoshop, Procreate, Clip Studio Paint, and Affinity. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it's the only thing I've used to make comic art since I found it. I've been using it for a minute now, so I feel morally obligated to share it with you guys before you make another panel with that crusty ink brush you found on DeviantArt in 2016. Bruh. And yeah, I work with RetroSupply, but I'm also a comic artist, and I don't have time for nonsense. This isn't me selling you something that I don't touch. It's me handing you the keys to stop spiraling and start making dope comic book art. So let's break it down. Before we dive into the brushes, here's a fun twist. RetroSupply gave me the honor of redesigning the actual cover art for the Comic Junkies Toolkit. Yeah, the face of the whole thing. And yeah, I know it's kind of meta that I'm using the toolkit to make art for the toolkit while demoing the toolkit. It's kind of like Inception, but with more halftones and less Leo. Anyway, I already got my sketch locked in, so we're not sitting here for 3 hours watching me second guess my lines. We're jumping straight into the first part of the bundle, the standard pen pack. And if you want to follow along, click the link in the description to hit up retrosupply.co. Grab the Comic Junkies Toolkit for your favorite software and throw that bad boy in your cart. And while you're there, why not sign up for the email list? You'll get early access to new brush packs, tutorials, and sales. 11 out of 10 people who sign up report becoming pro artists, winning the lottery, and dating supermodels. That's just science. Signing up may not lead to any of those things, but you will get exclusive discounts, early drops, and probably an uncontrollable urge to quit your job and draw comics full-time. You got the bundle? Okay, good. Let's go. Let's start with the standard pens, aka the reason I'm no longer beefing with my line work. In this pack, you get 11 inking brushes that actually feel like they were made by someone who's touched paper. There's no jitter or wet noodle tapering, it's just awesome inkers that respond to pressure, tilt, or whatever else you throw at them. Here's a few of my favorites in the pack. You got the classic brush pen, aka the smoothest inker alive. Seriously, this thing makes Lando Calrissian look like an awkward teenager. It's perfect for clean lines, subtle tapers, and bold work. And then you got the toothy fountain pen. If you're looking for realistic shape and texture in your inker, let your mom down easy because this one is your new best friend. The lines have that handmade imperfection that screams vintage charm. And finally, the GOAT, the myth, the legend, the brush I've come to know as all reliable, the one, the only, the dry fountain pen. So why do I love this brush so much? I don't know. Why do mothers love their children? Why do salmon swim upstream? Why does the wind whisper secrets through the trees? Because this brush is dope, that's why. It's got that irregular line weight that thins naturally, like that one pen you refuse to toss even though it's dying. It's scratchy, inky, and full of vintage character, with enough pressure sensitivity that it just feels right. It's my lifeblood, and I'd sell my firstborn child to keep it in my rotation. But all the pens in the standard pen pack are pretty rad. They've become the core of my inking workflow. I don't have to cycle through 20 per panel. I find one with the right vibe and just start inking. Because clean lines are fine, but lines with personality, those are peak. So if you're still using that default inker brush, I love you, but come on. Make the upgrade and treat yourself. So you've inked your piece and you think you're ready for color. Oh, you sweet summer child. You're wrong, and let me tell you why. This is Phantom Paper, aka the lazy man's vibe simulator. These are 21 seamless paper textures that instantly make your art feel real. Just tap one in your files, open it in Procreate, and draw underneath, or paste your layers in. Boom. Suddenly your art loses that sterile digital feel and starts looking like it was found in your dusty attic next to your old stuffed bear, Mr. Fluffy. I usually go with classic comic, newsprint, or onion skin paper. Look at how they completely changed the vibe of my line art alone. Now let's go switch back to that plain white background. Pretty gross, right? That's why Phantom Paper slaps. It's zero effort, but big payoff. Drop it in and your art will look finished, intentional, and 100% like you actually know what you're doing. It's like the Snapchat filter of comic art, except it doesn't lie. It just makes things better. Now let's talk about DupliTone, the halftone brush pack that ended my toxic relationship with janky shading. You want that vintage comic vibe, but every halftone brush you try either crashes your iPad or looks like it was printed on a potato. This pack fixes that. It's stacked with brushes, crafted to give you that authentic lo-fi print texture without the digital drama. We're talking about rough dots and lines for that gritty, lo-fi underground comic energy. Smooth dots and lines that are clean, professional, but still retro. And shader brushes that build tone gradually with natural midtones and soft transitions. I like to use DupliTone to add shading to my art before I color, but the fun doesn't stop there. You can finish entire pieces with the pack, giving your work a black and white newspaper vibe. And the best part of DupliTone is the brushes are pressure sensitive and layer seamlessly. So if you're tired of those halftone brush packs that promise the moon but deliver a mess, DupliTone is your fix. Next up, we have Color Lab, the glue that holds the whole retro comic aesthetic together. It's a vintage coloring system built to replicate classic CMYK printing, back when comics were cheap, messy, and beautiful. With Color Lab, you get CMYK halftone dot and line brushes labeled by ink color and density. You get color charts that show you how to layer the halftones to build colors. You get real-world print tints as color palettes. And you get a few paper textures for good measure. This pack is your key to authentic retro comic art. Seriously, if you're still using that lame Procreate filter to add halftones, stop.
Stop it. Get some help.
This isn't just retro looking. It's built using the logic of retro print. You're layering colors the way they did before Procreate was even born. Now, because I love you guys, and because I know most of you will probably nod like you get it, but then still use a soft airbrush on Multiply, here's a mini refresher on how to actually use Color Lab. If you want a full breakdown, check out our full video on Color Lab. But for now, here's a mini Color Lab tutorial. Step 1. Set up your layers. Your layers should go like this. First, paper textures. These go on top. Then your finished line art, set to Multiply. And then 4 blank layers. You can name them yellow, red, blue, and black. These should also be set to Multiply. Step 2, block in your colors. Make a new layer and grab a solid brush or use the paint bucket to fill big areas based on your intended palette. This is just to map out where you want your halftones to go, so it doesn't really matter if it's pretty or perfect. Nobody's gonna see it except you. Step 3, make your cheat sheet. Open the Color Lab chart and start to match each of your blocked in colors to the closest swatch on the grid. Each one tells you which halftone brushes you need. For example, I'll use Y2R2 to color the character's skin. Now go ahead and write those codes down somewhere you'll remember. Notebook, sticky note, tattoo it on your leg, I don't care. Just don't wing it. Future you will be grateful. Step 4, pick a halftone style. You've got a few options here. You can go for clean dots for that crisp, polished look, or rough dots for texture and grit, or even line halftones for that classic newspaper vibe. Stick to one type per piece for consistency. Trust me. Step 5, apply your halftones. This is the fun part. Let's paint this character's skin using the Y2R2 code we wrote down before. First, select the yellow layer. Now grab the matching halftone brush from the chart. Paint the areas that use yellow, and then repeat on red. If his skin color used any blue or black, I'd paint them with their corresponding brushes as well. Each brush builds tone. Denser dots for darker values, and lighter spacing for softer ones. Some colors might only use 1 or 2 ink layers, and others might use all 4. And here's a bonus tip. Try duplicating each of your color layers and adding a subtle Gaussian blur, and then lower the opacity. This will mimic the way real ink bleeds into paper, giving your work that soft, printed look. Step 6. Print defects and misalignment. Comic accurate halftones aren't the only thing Color Lab's packing. You also get 3 bonus inkers and 10 print defect brushes to give your art that crusty vintage vibe. These brushes let you mess things up on purpose. You can strip ink away to mimic how old comics lost fidelity over time, or flip it and add splotches, smudges, and over-ink spots. It's all about controlled chaos. Don't go full Mad Max, aim for gently used. Think about things like where hands would have touched the page, bottom corners are prime, and add wear and tear there. Treat these brushes like seasoning. Don't go and dump the whole spice rack, just enough to make it taste like the 70s. Yum. And remember, misalignment is your friend. You can nudge each color layer slightly in different directions to give your halftones a little bit of wobble and a little bit of overlap. That's the charm. Old comics weren't perfect. When you're done with Color Lab, your art won't just look retro, it'll feel like it was printed, folded, passed around, and maybe even banned from the school library. And that, my friends, is Color Lab. Now we got the last piece of the puzzle, Toon, the only comic font I've used all year. It's based on the Leroy lettering system, that chunky, dramatic style of font from vintage pulp comics. It's clean, bold, and slightly unhinged. I use it for everything, speech bubbles, titles, credits, whatever. It saved me from hand lettering with the caffeine shakes way too many times to count. And here's another bonus tip. After you've laid down your text, duplicate it and rasterize the layer. Now add a soft Gaussian blur and offset it slightly. Boom. Inky, natural looking text that vibes with everything else in your piece. You can also use the print defect brushes from Color Lab to add natural wear and tear. Alright guys, now that I've walked you through the entire Comic Junkies Toolkit, let's see it in action. Roll the time lapse. And there we go guys, that's the final art, made with only stuff you can find in the Comic Junkies Toolkit. Pretty cool, right? Hopefully now you see why this thing's been living rent-free in my brush library for a minute now. If this helped or mildly entertained your overworked art brain, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Also, we want to do a Q&A, so if you guys have questions for me or for RetroSupply in general, leave them in the comments. And if you want the brushes, textures, halftones, the whole shebang, head to RetroSupply.co. You'll find this bundle plus tons of other brushes, tools, tips, and tutorials to keep your art game strong. So thanks for hanging out, guys. I'm Matt. Go make something weird or cursed or both. Happy creating.